Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy QP Ski. Q, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Got my do rag on. I'm ready to get the show going.
Yeah, man, we had a day off yesterday, company holiday.
Okay.
Mike and Terry held it down last night for the Fans Edge. So if you missed that, make sure you check that out. Chris Drew and I were live previewing the Iowa Ohio State game this weekend in the Bleacher Report app. So if you missed that, be sure to check it out. But we are back and got plenty to talk about. I mean, we got an action packed show queue, so I'm not going to bullshit. I know we have housekeeping. A shout out to our guy Gmo. He said go Bucks in the chat to start the day. And then another shout out to our guy Isaiah, who was second in the chat. Shout out to our members Charles in here. I see you. And a big shout out to Posh, also a member. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe to the channel. And if you support what we're doing, become a member. Another way to help us out. Q, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, I'm glad Gmo had a change of heart. He continues to spell Bucks wrong. I don't know what that Canes is, but
Interesting way to
we know
spell
what he
Bucks.
means.
Someone someone said that Baltimore was the best place to for Devonte Adams to sign, and I'm like, I've never heard Pittsburgh pronounced like that, but good move.
Sounds good. Yeah, like the video on Twitter, retweet, like here on YouTube, get us going in the morning as people get in here. And we got a OH, let me get an IO in the chat and let's get to it. Okay. So we got a bunch of topics here. We're gonna run through these pretty quickly so we get through Ohio State, or I will try to, because we do have a lot, but a lot too. And I also want to give a shout out to my guy Doug Shepard. Doug is not always here live, but he is always in the comments. So letting his voice
Always in
be
the
known.
comments
So
every day. We appreciate Doug.
yeah, so big shout out to him. Even if you missed the show, he's in there. So if you do the show, hop in those comments. We appreciate it. Okay, let's start with this. So hopefully, Ms. Sanchez will pop in here in a bit because I wonder her thoughts on this. So we have a high school NIL story that I'll jump into. So wanted to ask you a couple questions, Ron. So North Carolina judge ruled Tuesday that public school athletes can profit off NIL. The ruling stems from a lawsuit from the mother of 2026 quarterback Faison Brandon, the Tennessee commit, against the board of against the North Carolina Board of Education. Want to ask you in the chat, where are you at with high school players in NIL? Is this something that you mind? Is it something that you're like, I don't know if exactly want to throw kids a bunch of money? Because you can think about it in two ways. One, kids can get paid for their likeness. We saw Jeremiah Smith, and we've seen a bunch of athletes plastered all over Twitter, from On3 to PFF to wherever, to where they're literally making, they're feeding their families off of these kids. Also, too, these kids have very high values, and some don't always pan out. Another way is you're giving high school athletes money at this point, a bunch of money, and it could depend on who they're surrounded by. One, and you talked about it, like even in college, giving kids a bunch of money maybe is not the best idea early, and maybe saving it for the future. So, where are you at with high school now?
Fuck that, bro. When there's kids doing high school work release because their parents need help keeping the lights on, does anyone say, "Oh, who do you got in your life? I'm not sure if I need you working these hours. I don't want you putting all this money towards supporting your family or doing." No one gives a fuck any other chance. But when they see you getting generational wealth, everybody wants their eyes in your pocket and bank account. That's bullshit. If you're 16 and you're able to earn, let these kids make their money. And I don't care if it's coming from a college. I don't care if it's like, what's the point of going to college? To earn the skills that'll give you the necessary life skills to make a living. If you can make one before you go to college, why wouldn't you accept that money? I think it's bullshit. It's just another way to keep wealth out of these kids' pockets. And as soon as they're able to get paid, I don't care what someone wants to pay them or why they want to pay them. Everybody's a capitalist until it comes time to pay 17-year-old kids that are good at football. Like, in what market, in what world do we just say, you know what? Free labor. Just let these kids just come out here and play, and we're not going to pay them. We're not going to do anything. Like, college athletics is like the only thing in America where everyone's like, you know what? Don't pay the talent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that most definitely, especially when it came to college. It was like, yeah, you're carrying. I mean, March Madness makes what billions in just like a month. Like the amount of craziness that these kids generate is crazy, and I don't believe sites like On Three and 247 should be able to feed their families off these kids, and they not get anything. So I would definitely agree on the side they pay their value. I'm hoping just kids are surrounded by the right people that help them manage their money and things like that. Because yes, some are. uh, some could use the money most definitely in different situations. I mean, I'd be afraid if you gave me like I don't know, 50 grand in high school, where that little went to, I would definitely. I used to get $100 in high school, and it was a problem.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I worked at Best Buy when I was in high school, and when I get my check, bro, going to the mall, shutting shit down, money for the weekends. Like I couldn't imagine what I was doing with their type of money, bro. I want to see. Everybody's like, well, what if they don't know how to spend it responsibly, bro? Again,
I didn't.
when have you ever like had to take a financial literacy course to pick up your paycheck at work? Like, why is everybody so concerned about these kids and no one else? You're a super genius and you write a program and sell it to a company. No one's saying, wow, is this guy old enough to earn? Like, if you want to do anything to make money, everybody's fine with it until it's time to do it for college football. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. Well, hopefully nationwide, these kids are available to get NIL. But in North Carolina, if you're a public school student, now go ball out. Really. You can get paid. You can be paid for your money. Okay, moving on a little differently here. We got Lincoln Riley on years to play. I want to get your thoughts on this. So Lincoln Riley said, "I think guys should get 5 years. Do whatever you want, play as much as you want, or as little. The only way you get an extra year plus the five is if you have two season-ending injuries and miss the whole season." So, statement right there. Do you agree with that?
No. Like, I think you get 4 years plus your red shirt, and I think it's a fine system. I mean, the kids can already transfer as much as they want. Make sure that you get it done. Don't not I don't want to watch 26-year-olds play college football. That's like, bro, that's like watching seniors play like Pop Warner. Why? You're past this. Go to the NFL or get a job. That's where I'm at with it. Like, I hate people that I hate seeing people that should be at job fairs playing their ninth year. Like that Miami tight end. He's playing what, his 15th year in or in college football right now. Like, I hate COVID eligibility, and any suggestion of giving kids more eligibility. We're just talking about the high school kids. It's like no one cares about high school college football players. They're not allowed to get NIL. They want to keep letting 30-year-olds play college football. That's taking away scholarships from high school kids that earn it and are living that opportunity in your life. Once you've gone through that stage in your life, move on and take the next step and leave that opportunity for someone else. I hate any suggestion of additional eligibility. I like the format pre-COVID, and the fact that we're changing shows how many loser ass schools got an opportunity from having old men on their team and want that to continue. And I don't want to see it anymore.
I mean, in a way, I see what he did there. He's trying to get rid of that, Miami tight end being in his ninth year by saying, yeah, there's no more past your fifth year if unless you've just had a long term injury. But again, I'm with you. Just giving guys a fifth year, I would guess it would be that additional redshirt year that a lot of guys use. And instead of playing the 4 games, you can play, I don't know, 5 or 6 and just not save or not be able to save that year. So in a way, I kind of get it. I'm not completely mad at it, but I would rather guys play 4 years and then maybe have an additional if they're injured 2 years out of it or something like that. I don't know. I feel like there's a little gray area in there, but I'm not completely mad at it. It does make sense. It does eliminate guys going 6, 7, 8 years without a catastrophic injury ridden career. So I say it's something I think about, but I'm more err on the side of keep it at 4.
Y'all loved it when Proc did it, though. Drove me insane. I think
I
it
did love
proved exactly that we needed Josh Proctor on that team. And if we didn't, we would have been playing a true freshman, and the Buckeyes would have suffered the consequences for it, and deservingly so. And I'd love to see that in the future for other teams, because I think that example right there speaks to how much it benefits teams to do it, because the position that Ohio State would have been if Josh Proctor wasn't there, Malik Hartford would have had to play as a true freshman. Do I have my years mixed up, Q, or is that not right?
No, it would have been hard for pretty much starting that year.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody knows that I'm one of the biggest fans of the Malik Hartford fan club, but I don't think he was ready to start as a true freshman. I mean, and you see they go out and get Caleb Downs. Now, I think that just speaks to what you're able to see. Josh Proctor was a guy that they were talking about in 2019 being a potential guy. And here he is, how many years later, getting the start because of an extra year of eligibility. I, I love that year for Josh. You know what I mean? Want to see all the best for him. But at the same time, I'm ready for these COVID rules to go away.
Yeah, and then I didn't want to see Josh Proctor in his sixth year necessarily, but if it was a fifth year, I wouldn't be mad at it. Again, I don't know. That's up to debate. I'll let the chat debate that. Do you want 5 years unlimited play, or do you want to get back with the 4 year with the red shirt, and potentially have a fifth and no extra years following that? We don't need eighth, ninth, 10th year. I think I agree with everybody on that one. So I could
Leaving
debate
too
that.
shady ass Miami too to have the fucking guy that's been in school for 15 years.
Hopefully, he has a 15-year NFL career and all that work paid off. A question for last week. Well, this is more of just a quick statement. Where Pro Football Focus Conference of the Week team came out. Obviously, we played well against Michigan State, especially the offense, but there were no guys that made
We
the
have a graphic for
conference
that. I'm
team.
sorry.
No, this is a quick before the graphic, but you can leave that one up. But yeah, just were you surprised last week? No guys made the PFF conference team with as well as some guys played against Michigan State.
Um, Looking at
Line.
Ohio State stats from the game, and no one had like a wow over the top type of statistical performance. And I feel like a lot of those, I mean, shout out to the box score boys, but I feel like a lot of that, a lot of that voting, a lot of those lists come together from people box score watching. I doubt a lot of, what would you set the number on the people that put together that list, the amount of games in the Big Ten that they watched last week?
They probably just try to watch the highlights of the big games and put together a team. I mean, it's got to be pretty damn difficult to watch every safety in the Big Ten and then be like, okay, this guy was the best.
Exactly. So when you look at the box score from Ohio State, nothing particularly jumps out. Even like Mitchell Melton leading the team in sacks, JTT gets one, but nothing that jumps off the screen that would make a box score boy go ahead and grab an Ohio State name. So I'm not overly surprised, just understanding how those lists come together.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm a little bit surprised Caleb Downs doesn't make it up there. I don't know if there's many say that played better than him on a
But I
Saturday.
think that would be an example of clearly people didn't watch the game.
Just saying,
Because
maybe
if you miss
7 o'clock.
Caleb Downs watching that game, you must have had your eyes closed or the sound off.
Yeah, so there's a couple guys I think got snubbed, but we will see next week. Okay,
A
let's
couple
hop to
guys
that
got
match.
snipped, huh?
Snipped, snipped. We'll go from snip, snub, somewhere in between, snoobed, or whatever you want to call it. So let's jump to that first graphic. We got week 6 matchups. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow, the only show in Ohio State media that gets you paid to have Pat up here to break these down. Go back. Well, here, let me find it. For our week, there we go. Week 6 matchups this week. Ron James, I would like to ask you, one, what games are you looking forward to on this list?
Uh, I mean, obviously, the obvious Ohio State, Iowa is one that I'm excited about. And probably I almost said Miami. I'm looking at the M. That team up north in Washington. I think that'll be an interesting one. I think Washington's not a great team, so I'm interested to see how Michigan matches up against them. I'm like back on the fence of like, does this Michigan team stink, or did we jump the gun on them being terrible? Because I said all preseason, I think if they put Alex Orji back there, they're going to be able to 3 yards in a cloud of dust everyone to sleep and be able to push people around. And you saw USC's inability to tackle them the inability to tackle continued in their game last week. So if they're able to continue to run the ball like this, they're gonna have success, and it might be a team that sneaks into the playoffs, a team that we thought might be a 3, 4, 5 lost team. Not looking like that so much, especially with the defense and their ability to possess the ball. So that's a game that I'm gonna have my eye on just to see. Like, I don't think Washington's good. So if Michigan looks bad against them, I think that'll lean more towards they're not that great and they're just out physicaling teams. But it'll be interesting to watch. Is there another game on here that jumps out to you? I'm interested to see how Kyle McCord looks against UNLV, a ranked team. Can they get another ranked win already on their schedule?
Yeah, that was the one. You can call it right there, Syracuse UNLV. Who's Pat talked about it. He said they should get better on Saturday because their backup quarterback is a lot better than throwing their NIL quarterback. So they've seriously leveled up from the week before. We will see if Syracuse can take them down. I think that'll be an exciting game. I expect Kyle McCord to come out and just wing it, just throw the ball all over the place. So that's probably the one I'm most excited for out of our game. But I got an interesting stat for you. Michigan actually opened up as an underdog this week against Washington, so they're not the
Number 10
favorite.
team in the country opened as an underdog to an unranked team.
Yes, going on the road against Washington. I don't know if they're still an underdog. I would check the book, see maybe if you want to put some money. I don't know if Johnny O's in here, but get your bets in early before the book switches. But are you surprised at that?
Yeah, because it seems like Vegas doesn't agree with their ranking because how do you have an unranked team as the favorite over the number 10 team in the country? And that's why I said it seems to be a division of how people feel about this team. Vegas, not as high on Michigan, but clearly coaches in the rankings believe. And I don't, I, how, here, a question for you, Q.
Yeah.
Which one do you think, who do you think you learned more about from the Michigan USC game? Do you think that told you more about Michigan being legit or USC being a fraud?
Yeah, I would say that the part I learned most about was the USC offense. I thought they would come in, and I thought it would be a competitive battle because leaving that LSU game, I'm like, okay, this should be one of the best offenses in the country, and no matter where they go, no matter who they play, that'll carry them in the Big Ten. Obviously, we get in the Michigan game, and it's like for 3 quarters, it's like, no, it won't. So I think that's the team I learned more about, and their defense looked way worse than it did obviously earlier in the season. So I would say USC has learned more about. Michigan is who I thought they were, and I'm trying to check the books now and see if
They
they
are
are.
who we thought they were.
Yeah. I can find them
You
here.
play to win the game.
I'm gonna check Michigan real quick to see if they're still the underdog. I FanDuel pulled up here, so let's see
While
what
you
we
have
can do.
FanDuel pulled up, I want to ask you another question about the games on this slate. I know in spaces we have a rule: don't come up. You can't talk ball if you use transitive property to talk ball. Well, it's our channel, so we can say whatever we want. So we're gonna do a little transitive property talk here. Oregon and Michigan State play this week. Are you watching that game to see a little transitive property? How do they look against a common opponent? Do you think that this game you can glean anything from how they look against Michigan State, given how the Buckeyes looked in their performance last week? Let us know in the chat too which one of these games you were most excited to watch, even if it is the Buckeyes game. Admittedly, even though I had to watch the entire Ohio State game last week, if I wasn't doing a Bleacher Report post game, I'd have been switching back and forth from that Ohio State Georgia Alabama game. I had to keep Georgia Alabama on the small screen last week.
Yeah, I think I will look at that Michigan State offense and see if they have success. Hopefully, Nick Marsh is back healthy. I know he wasn't too healthy against the Buckeyes, but he showed, going up against any corner, he can make some plays. So I'm anxious to see if he's fully healthy. I don't expect this to be too much of a contest. I would almost expect Oregon to handle them like Ohio State did, maybe give up a couple points, but not too many, and pretty much go in and dominate. It'll be a good test to see if Oregon truly has turned that corner and they're ready to go into this big time game on the 12th. So I would look at that game and say if Oregon can go in there and win by 20, something like that, and kind of dominate and control the game, there's still more on that line if we are who we thought they were. If Michigan State is able to put up, maybe high teens, maybe in the 20s, I think we have some concern here going into that game. So we will see, but I expect Oregon to take care of business.
Yeah, that'll definitely be one to keep an eye on. As disappointing as it seems, I do think Oregon as well will take care of business.
Yeah, so here I got this for you. This is the spreads. Washington versus Michigan. Washington is -2.5 right now, according to CBS Sports.
Still the favorite. Our guy Troy says I'm looking forward to MSU Oregon game just because Friday night games have been great so far. Have you been enjoying the Friday night slate? Like I absolutely love Virginia Tech Miami last week. I normally am watching the game from my game room or in my office because I like have the laptops going, I got the game going, all kinds of shit. But on Friday, man, when the Friday night football kicks off, man, I'm on the couch. I got me a blanket. I got a drink. I got some snacks, and I just enjoy my living room, my couch, and my college football on a Friday. I've been absolutely loving this slate, so I couldn't agree more. Q, I know you be out in these streets. How much college football do you get to watch on Friday? Do you enjoy this slate, or you like put it all on Saturday? Your boy's got clubs to hit on Friday.
I don't hit clubs. I go to bars, but I think, honestly, I think that Miami Virginia Tech game was probably the game I've watched most. Like 99% of my Friday football was watching that game. That was like the first one on the slate that I was like, oh, shoot, let me tune in here. Shout out to my guy Gabe Williams. Let me see what it's hitting for. And that was a heck of a game. So I picked a good one, but I have not been enjoying too much Friday night football.
Gotta add our guy. We got a special guest up here, host of the Fans Edge. If you missed that, be sure to check it out. Our guy, Cleveland Mike, black man, black man. How's it going?
Black man, black man. How's everybody doing, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. I know you are an avid college football watcher, unlike you. How excited are you for this Friday slate, and have you been enjoying the Friday slate? So we get another Cal McCord game too, so we get a double dose of good games here on Friday. Get to watch some Cal McCord, get to watch a little bit of Oregon. That's a good slate of football for an Ohio State fan right there. You get to watch your old quarterback. You get to watch the opponent that you just beat on play your future ops. I think that's a loaded slate.
Yeah, it definitely some good games on, right? I agree with that. But I'm not a fan of Fridays. I think Friday is Friday Night Lights for high school, man. And I think that it should continue to be that. If these networks want viewership numbers, put some of these top high school games on because there's a lot of top talent in these games. And I think that it would be better so people could understand why these guys are the high ranked 4 stars, 5 stars, because when you see them on the field, they just look different. They move different than everybody. So I'm a big component of Friday night games. And, I started going to Friday night games down here in Texas, fellas. So, I mean, why would I want to stop doing that?
Yeah, man. You make a good point there. It's officially spooky season. It's October now. For word to the wise, if you're going to a haunted house, go on a Friday because all the high school kids are at games, so all the lines are shorter. So if you're looking for something to do during the Halloween season, make sure you do it on a Friday where all the high school kids are at high school football games. But yeah, man, it does take away from the Friday night lights, but I'll take as much football as I can get. And you make an excellent point about needing to get the high school football on TV more. I think that's an excellent opportunity for 7-on-7 to grow the sport. And it's going to be interesting to see. They had an NFL, OT7 had to deal with the NFL Network last year, an opportunity to make a lot of these guys household names and able to grow their stardom. So it'll be interesting to see how much that sports continues to grow. You see some of the games on ESPN now. It'll be interesting to see how much more they grow the 7-on-7 sport, because I think not only during the regular season, but during the off season, it's an opportunity for a lot of these high school kids to be seen.
No, 100% facts. But yeah, I'm definitely Mike. I'd rather the high school kids get slate. I can watch Kyle McCord and UNLV at 12 versus Friday night at 8. But at least give us something to watch. There's no real days without football for what, 55 days.
We work from home. They might as well just have those games on while I'm working.
Right now. Yeah. Why aren't they playing yet? Oh man. Okay, so moving on, I got a bunch of non-conference or non-Ohio State stuff. So let's try to run through this and get short-winded. And Ron has it. Let's go with bracketology next.
Bracketology.
Yeah, there you go. So you got it. So was it our third week playing bracketology? You see the updates right there. Alabama moves to 1. Ohio State's now 2. Clemson is 3. And BYU is 4. So surprises there in the top 4 there. First question. Clemson making his roaring return back in the ACC. Miami has got bumped out of that Virginia Tech performance. First question, is Clemson back? Are they going to win the ACC?
It feels like it. I said I don't see a team that could beat Miami, and then I watched Miami play Georgia Tech, and I was like, that Clemson defensive line is going to feast. So I think the national media is also of that mindset that if they meet in the ACC championship, this Clemson team could be a problem for the Hurricanes. I'm not necessarily writing Miami out completely, but I think I do think that they will give them a problem. GoJ says Clemson will always be relevant. Back question mark? I don't know. I don't know, man. What are we defining as back? I mean, back in the play. If you're winning your conference, I'd say that's about as back as it gets. 2 national championships in a 3-year span. I feel like that's a little bit hard to request. I feel like if they're in the national championship contention, they're receiving a bye week in the playoffs, I'd call that back, especially from the fall from grace that everyone thought that they were having.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you look at the bracket, I mean, obviously there it puts them in the second game. If you're making it to the third game of the college football, I think you're very relevant and back, regardless of, how you may look early in the season or, what conference you're playing in if you're winning it year in, year out. So right now I would look at them and say, I think Tennessee would beat them, but they have potential to be in that third game if this was the bracket that we would get. I will ask this too, Mike. UNLV is in their big time game this weekend. They are kind of the favorite right now on the outside looking into the Power 5 teams. What do you expect from UNLV or not tomorrow, on Friday? And do you think they hold that position, or do you think we'll have another G5 team in there?
Man, I mean, right now they can hold serve, and I think it's really how they play Syracuse, right? Like if they lose, but they lose a close one, do you drop them? Like that's my whole thing. But I'm not a fan of the AP poll. I think it's from a lot of voters who don't really watch the games. They just look at box scores and things like that. So me personally, I don't even think a G5 school should be ranked. I was talking about it on the Fans Edge. Like
ranked in the top 25?
If you took Kentucky and gave them Rutgers' record right now, they'd be in the top 10. We've seen it. We've seen them even rank Arkansas in the top 10 for the same record that Rutgers has right now, but they don't. So, I mean, yeah, we know a G5 school is going to have to make it. They can still, hold surge, but, I mean, you still got some good teams in Boise as well. UCF, their performance against Colorado, I just put them out of there. So, I mean, you still have some contenders. So UNLV, you don't want to slip up.
Yeah, I would say Boise's probably next up in there. But let's get a move on. We have a super chat, so let's get to that, and then we'll hop into some Heisman talk.
We have 2 super chats. So let's wrap up the national stuff, and we'll circle back to super chats and jump into a little bit of Ohio State stuff.
Okay, I will do this one. I will save one for tomorrow. Let's do the Heisman running in here. So we have there we go. I'll go back. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we got Travis Hunter jumps back to number 1 of their performance at UCF, where he balled out, and I called it here on Friday. I said take Colorado, man. I got a good feeling about it. It's just the vibes. So he's up there. Genty has been balling. Milroe, we saw what he did. Cam Ward, Ryan Williams hops in there. Jeremiah Smith is in there. There's a few guys from the Big Ten in here in the top 10. We got 4 now, so that's nice to see. Always shout out there. But I want to ask you guys, is this one of the best Heisman races early in the season that we've seen in the past few years? Mike, I'll start with you. It seems like every week you got a different guy at the top. Travis Hunter's all over this list. Cam Ward's all over. We have 2 freshman receivers in here. We got a guy from Indiana is in the Heisman race. What is going on here?
Man, honestly, I think that, it's the beginning of the season still, right? So, some people have had amazing games. Some people haven't. Like, I think that amazing game against Georgia that Ryan Williams has is what boldened him up to 5, right? And I mean, what Ashton Gentry is doing, we kind of knew coming into this season that this dude was going to be on fire, that he was a top running back. So I have no surprise in that. Travis Hunter, man, I really hope that he can stay up there. He gets some more interceptions because we know he's going to get touchdowns on offense. But that guy continue to at least average like one interception a game. I just don't see how you can stop this man from getting the Heisman, because my thing is it goes to the best player. I don't care about the stats or anything. It goes to the best player. And this man is playing more snaps than any college football player. He means way more on his team than I think any other college football team. So
no, I couldn't agree more with what Mike said. I agree that Travis Hunter, it feels like it's his race to lose. It's the best player in college football, and without a question, I feel like you put him on any team, he's easily the best and most valuable player to any team in the country. What he's been able to do on both sides of the ball has been spectacular. Interesting to see Cam Ward fall to 4 because it felt like he was almost running away with the race. But the way that Jalen Milroe's playing, I mean, he has an argument that he's playing the best ball in the country of any quarterback, and he doesn't have the turnovers that Cam Ward has. And I feel like that, especially in the with the national spotlight on Miami, I think a lot of people are going to see some of the recklessness with the ball, and that's going to hurt his abilities with so many talented people fighting for this Heisman that it's going to become something nitpicky like turnovers. I just don't see a way that you don't give it to Travis Hunter. I think it would make the biggest mockery of the award if it goes to a quarterback instead of Travis Hunter with what he's able to put up. And I feel like what that does for the sport, it speaks to not everyone has to take the same path to make it to the top. Number one player in the country chose to go to an HBCU, trusted his coach, followed him to Colorado, was part of a rebuilding effort, and still looks like he's going to be able to accomplish all of his individual goals that he had coming into college. So I feel like, again, we talked about how much the distribution of talent has made the sport better. I feel like, again, the distribution of awards, don't just give it to a quarterback. Give it to the best player in the country who went and balled out. And it shouldn't. I feel like when you give it to a guy, oh, your team has to win for you to win a Heisman. I feel like that de-incentivizes kids from going to programs like Colorado, going to schools like UCLA, going to non-traditional football powers and making them great and being good there. I mean, you see what Genty's doing at Boise State. It's reinforcing that, hey, you don't have to go sit on the bench for 3 years out in Ohio State, out in Alabama. You can go perform immediately. You can go get your reps, develop at another school, and if the talent's there, the world will see it. So I think Travis Hunter absolutely deserves this award and is going to eventually end up winning it. It's good to see the Buckeyes have a name on the list, and if they don't get it this year, if he's on there already 4 games into his freshman year, I think we got plenty of time to chase a Heisman with Jeremiah Smith going forward.
Yeah, I agree with both you saying this is one of the more exciting races I've seen, especially early in the season in the last few years. And I think the way Cam Ward, Ryan Williams, and Nico is playing, and the fact that they're not in, none of them are in the top 3 is kind of crazy of just how good guys performing at this clip. So that is something we'll keep an eye on going in. But I'm liking our weekly Heisman poll. We're in week 6, so hopefully these guys continue to ball out, and maybe we'll have a Heisman that's not a quarterback and not a guy from a big school. So we will see. All right, let's hop into these super chats, and then we'll talk some Ohio State ball.
We got some super chats here. Our guy, Big Boy, said, I'm not awake early enough to catch y'all, but I am, so love the show is dope. If you can't catch us every day, we are live on YouTube. You can catch the replays later in the day when you have time, or on audio on podcast if you want to listen while you're going about your day. Be sure to check us out on all platforms where you get your podcast. Appreciate the love and the super chat. We got another super chat that's going to take us into our next topic. Shout out to the OG, our guy, Mike Green. Thanks for the 5. Hey, yo, fellas, old boy talking hella shit from Iowa. Do we show up like we always do against big-time running back? We've seen it time after time after time. The Buckeyes have faced off against some of the best running backs in the nation year in and year out, and it seems like the Buckeyes always come ready for the challenge. Do you guys think the Buckeyes come ready to answer the call this Saturday against Caleb Johnson? After the words that he had, they asked him in his recent interview before the game, do you have a chip on your shoulder because Ohio State did not offer you? He said, no, I don't have a chip on my shoulder, but I did want to beat them. Even if they offered me, I wouldn't have went there because I've always wanted to beat them. Your guys' thoughts there on those comments, and do you think the Buckeyes are going to show up ready to make him regret his decision to not come to Ohio State or his words against Ohio State?
Mike, you want to take it first?
Yeah, that man is lying. Flat out, bro. That man is lying straight up, man. If Ohio State offered him, he definitely would have wanted to play here. I mean, obviously, you want to play against them. We hear it all the time. Everybody wants to play Ohio State and beat them when they didn't get the offer and things like that, man. And I think this is a really, really good running back. I drafted him on my college fantasy team. But guess where he is this week? On the bench. Because, like you said, our Buckeyes always come out and show out against good teams. I say the only way he gets off is if we're not gap disciplined. That's how he's going to be able to take advantage if we're not being gap disciplined. But you heard Ryan Day during the press conference, making things simple so that the guys can fly around to the ball. And that's what I'm expecting this week, just keeping it simple, allowing the guys to fly to the ball. And I mean, I remember, we was going up against that team up north in 2022, and everybody wants to talk about the after stats, but before those two big runs, that their running back was only averaging like 2 yards a carry. I think that we could have that same type of defense, that same momentum going into this game.
Yeah, I'll follow that. Let me just quote for Caleb Johnson. I mean, do I have a problem with it or am I offended by it? No, not really. I mean, I kind of expect this down the line, and I get this question all the time. We get these quotes pre-game, and I'm like, well, what is he supposed to say?
People expect everyone to be an Ohio State fan. Like, oh my God, it ruined me. I stayed up all night crying. You wouldn't imagine the amount of Kleenexes I went through. Like, what you want bro to say? Like, yeah, man, I wish I could play for that team, but now I'm gonna get my ass beat by them this weekend. Like, what do you say?
I would say, even though they're not really that relevant, I mean, I'm taking the Colorado State approach. I'm raising my NIL value with the quotes I say before the game, before going into a big time game. It's like now most of the country now knows who Caleb Johnson is, and now is paying attention to him come Saturday. So, hey, man. Businessman right here. He's thinking. He's like, yeah, let me scheme up something I can say real quick in this press conference. So I do think Ohio State is going to come out. This is a challenge for the linebackers to be gap sound. We've had some criticism on them. I think Arvell Reese and Cody Simon have done that very efficiently. I think they've been very good against the run. So I think it's a good test for the linebackers, but I expect a good game from Ohio State on Saturday and a good plan in the old school Jim Knowles defense.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Mike and our guy, Big Boy. That's an interesting name. But shout out to our guys for the super chat. Q, what else you got about this game that you wanted to discuss?
I just got a couple quotes here. Obviously, they had the pressers yesterday, so I'm just going to run some things and see what you guys think about it. I'll start with Ryan Day. He talked about Caleb Downs. He said his preparation is remarkable. Sign of a veteran player. He plays that way. He has great energy, a great teammate. All of that good stuff. I want you both to rate Caleb Downs this season so far on a 1 to 5. Obviously, we expected big things from him to come out and ball out. I was saying earlier in the show, I was like, I've been waiting for my Caleb Downs walking to Ohio State moment. I think I got it last Saturday when he truly jumped off the screen. So far this season, Caleb Downs 1 to 5. Mike, I'll start with you. What would you give him?
Yeah, I remember during the post game after the Michigan State game, me and JR, who do the Mark Rogers show right after the games, we were talking like, who's going to get Defensive Player of the Year? Do you think that Jim Knowles is going to give it out? And I said, it's got to be Caleb Downs, man. And you heard him in his press conference. This is the first time we have activated Caleb Downs. And I seen someone on social media posting the stats or whatever and was like, oh, Sab has more stats tackling and all of this crap, bro. And it's just like, watch the film. Teams are quick gaming this. They don't even want to go after Caleb Downs. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to what Caleb Downs is doing. You said a 1 out of 5. I give him a 4 just because we haven't really had to use. He hasn't been bad, but he's still top tier.
Ron.
I give him a 4 so far. I mean, he hasn't been a negative in any way, but I feel like last week was like the first superstar Caleb Downs performance that we got out of him, where like he's just absolutely jumping off the screen, and I feel like there's more to come. And as these games get bigger, he's going to be harder to miss. So while it's not a perfect 5, I definitely give him a 4 for how well he's played so far and acclimated so quickly. Like it's not like we saw any sort of drop off with Q's guy Josh Proctor departing the team. So yeah, man, I definitely give him a 4.
If you're gonna play that Josh Proctor role, you gotta come to play. Okay, moving on. Ryan Day talked about a guy I wanted to show some love to, Aaron Nolan. We haven't talked about him this much, but he got his black stripe off. Ryan Day said he's got the team. He's got a team that really cares about him and is proven every day. I want to ask you going forward. Obviously, we don't expect to see Aaron Nolan too much this season unless we get a complete blowout later in there. But I would say
time out.
What?
If a scenario presents itself where Aaron Nolan plays this year, I'm not going to see it because the loss of Devin Brown, Lincoln Keenholz, Julian Sand, and Devin Brown would give me a fucking heart attack before I even got to see Aaron Nolan play a game. Like if Aaron Nolan gets in and is playing meaningful snaps this year, thoughts and prayers. Make sure one of you guys set up the GoFundMe because I'll be dead.
I just said that. You don't expect him to see much this season, but I want to ask you progressing into next season. Sounds like Aaron Nolan has bought it. He's got that black stripe off. I want to ask just real quick, where do you see him in the pecking order of going into the battle next season? Obviously, we expect probably the top 2 guys to go. I don't expect Lincoln to be around next season, but I guess we'll see in the offseason. So it may be a very young quarterback battle. Where do you expect him to see where your progression think he'll be at? Mike, I'll start with you.
You know, like they said from the beginning, man, this was just Air's developmental year. You know, he's going to red shirt. If they're able to get him out there, you know, cool. And to be honest, I think Air is like the most chill quarterback, man. Like he went out there in the spring game and he wasn't nervous. I think he put on the best performance of any quarterback out there, whereas it looked like Julian Sane got a little nervous. So I would love to see Air. I'm a fan of Air. I don't want Air to leave. You know, but him and Sane are in the same class, so you know how that goes. I just hope that the guy can stay and just wait his time, you know?
Yeah, Ron.
Agreed. I think Air is developing at Ohio State, and I feel like when Ryan Day ends the season, it's gonna be a clean slate for the quarterback competition. Everybody's like, "Oh, Julian's the guy." We've never seen Ryan Day just hand someone the job as a first-time starter and just name them postseason. Like, yep, you're the guy all the way. We're gonna tell everyone that you're the best and just ride it on out. So even if Julian Sane is the next coming, if he's the savior, they're not going to announce it. We're not going to say it. So I expect Aaron Nolan to return to Columbus and battle for the starting quarterback position. Another super chat I want to get to real quick. From our guy Big Boy, is Ryan still Lion Day? Chris Drew and I had a discussion about this yesterday on Bleacher Report, and I said we have to retire the nickname because Ryan Day, I said, I don't know if it's because he feels like if he loses to Michigan, I'm out of here, so who cares anyways, or if it's they've given me everything I've asked for, I have the security blanket and Chip Kelly here, I am in full CEO mode, that I don't need a filter, I don't need to lie, I don't need to mislead. Ryan Day is just letting it all hang out and just telling it how it is in the press conferences. You see the energy on the sideline. I don't know what nickname that I have for Ryan Day, but Ryan Day is gone, and whoever this new guy is, I like him.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think Ryan's been pretty honest, but we will move on to Chip Kelly. Got a couple quotes from him. I'm gonna wrap these into one. First of all, he gave praise to the offensive line. He said Donovan Jackson return from injury helped the unit, proven back-to-back weeks. The O-line had a great performance against Michigan State, which we all see. And he also gave some love to Devin Brown. He said he's been an amazing backup. Really happy with where he is right now. He'll continue to grow as the offensive line continues to grow, which is kind of a weird line from him, but I will say, Mike, I'll start with you. Where are you at with this offensive line after that performance, and what do you expect going into this week? And any love for Devin Brown?
Yeah, man. I mean, for Devin Brown to go out there, not get, like how they say, oh, just go out there, let your quarterback make, first easy completion or whatever to get him in rhythm. Devin Brown didn't get that time, and he, went out there and made the throws that we've been hearing about, downfield passing, leading your wide receiver, and it looked beautiful, man. He was talking in his interview about how he had so much adrenaline pumping in him after that touchdown that he was shaking, and he said we were celebrating. I don't even think we were speaking English. We were just so happy. So I'm happy for Devin Brown, for him to be able to showcase his skill sets. And I know a lot of Buckeye fans have been down on Devin Brown, but I know you was cheering for Devin Brown when he threw that touchdown. So stop being a hater. Get on that. Just get on the Buckeye bandwagon, because he's still a Buckeye right now. And the O-line is doing amazing. Getting to the second level a whole lot better. You even seeing them get to the third level sometimes. And the way these guys are finishing blocks, it's a different mentality. The way we talked about the mentality of the DBs when Iggy came in here, I'm saying the mentality is probably coming from Seth. I mean, Terry, our guy Terry, has been on this about Seth from the jump and said that he's one of the most underrated transfers in this class, man. And just what you're seeing, the mentality is different, and he's almost like a coach on the field as well. And the way he finishes blocks, and nobody really wants to be in front of him.
Yeah, Ron.
No, I thought it was I think he worded what he was saying at the end of the quote.
The Devin Brown quote.
Yeah, a little odd, but I think I know what he was saying, and I feel like what he was saying was you're going to see Devin get more opportunities as they feel more comfortable with the backup O-line in there, and you're going to see how much that benefits him. Kind of a nod to Devin, like if you saw him with the starters, he would look better, and as you see, he gets in with the starter, throws a dot. So someone said in the chat, if Devin wasn't 33, he would be the starter. I've lobbied for him to bring back 15 many of times. But man, it is 9 o'clock. We appreciate our guy Mike for joining us. Q wrote an excellent show today. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Super Chats. Shout out to the members, man. So many people in here showing love, and we appreciate it. But your boy has to keep the lights on and get to work. Fellas, anything you want to get to before we get out of here?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm good to go. Appreciate Mike joining us, and we'll have some stuff for tomorrow. But Mike, go ahead and let the people know where they can find you at.
You can find me this Saturday, Voice of College Football, post-game show right after the Ohio State game. And then you can catch me, Ryan, and Cam on Buckeye BS. And then every Wednesday at night, you catch me and Terry live on the Fans Edge. And you see my handle right here, 216_Wildboy on X.
There you go. Do not forget.
Is that X.com or X videos?
Shit.
Both.
Let me go change my handle real quick.
Look, you shall receive. Oh man, yeah, great time, fellas. Do not forget, we have the one show tomorrow that pays you, and a lot of people ask for super chats and all that. They want you to pay us. No, we want to pay you on Fridays. We went 5 for 6 last week in picks. We'll have my guy Pat back in here tomorrow. As far as we got Pat in here tomorrow, I just want to make sure.
Yes, sir. We have Pat tomorrow.
Make sure he don't show up. So yeah, don't forget to tune in that. If you want to find me, I am CBoy Quentin on Twitter. Find us on Instagram, Minor League Films here on YouTube. If you like movies and all that good stuff, Ron, get us out of here.
If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TES. You can find me Wednesdays at 5 p.m. in the Bleacher Report app with Chris Drew doing pregame shows. You can catch me Saturday previewing the games. You can catch me on Saturdays doing pregame show on the Medicine Sports platform. And, of course, weekdays, Monday through Friday here at 8 a.m. for the Buckeye Roast. I got completely distracted there, and I had one more note that I can't remember. So I'm just going to get us out of here and wrap the show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you missed the Fans Edge last night, be sure to catch that. If you missed us on Bleacher Report, be sure to tune in there. Big show today, or big show tomorrow as well with our guy Pat. So be sure to tune in, and you guys know how this ends. Go Bucks and OH.
Ayo.